Welcome to Giving an Answer, the show dedicated to defending the historic Christian faith. I am your host, Harold Felder, and today the topic is reaching the Latino community for Christ. And I have as my guest Miguel Santos. Let me tell you a little bit about Miguel. Miguel is pastor of the Camino del Rey Church here in Charlotte. And actually, I'm a co-pastor of the Journey Church, and we're sort of partnering up. We're traveling the same church circles, and we're actually going to partner up with this church as a matter of fact, and we're going to be doing things together. And we were meeting together with some other church leaders yesterday, and it just dawned on me, I should invite Miguel on to talk about, reaching Latino community for Christ.
Amen.
And so I asked Miguel, and Miguel agreed, so here's Miguel. Welcome,
Amen.
Miguel.
Thank you so much for giving the opportunity to be
All
here.
right. Tell us about your family.
Well, I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Marta, and three girls and a boy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, I also know that you, how long have you been pastoring?
3 years right now.
3 years. I've heard wonderful things about you. I mean, you have a pastor's heart. You sacrifice for your flock, and you're an example of what a pastor should be. So it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.
So tell us about your ministry. Tell us about your church.
Well, what I do right now is I work for Camino del Rey, and when the new persons come to our church, I'm the person that I get in touch with them and follow them, and if they are saved, try to explain the gospel to them, and after that get a baptism and be a member of our church. That's the way that I work. Last year we have 84 new members.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, how many members are in the church?
We are right now about 450, something like that. That's the.
Good. Well, give us your background. Give us your testimony.
Well, I come here. That happened about 9 years ago. Okay, I was in Charlotte, and when I get married, and my boy coming. When my boy came in, about 6 months old he was, and I asked myself if I want to he come the same way that I was, and I don't like myself in that time. So I say no, I don't want he come like me. But I say, well, if I want he come different, I have to go to see the church. And I went. I was a Catholic person, and I went to the Catholic church. And I went a couple times, and after that, family from my wife, they asked me if I want to be a partner from one of their kids, be in the first community. And so I went to the class that they give. In the class, I see the priest smoking one cigarette to another one. And when I saw him, I say, wait a second, he's smoking the same way that I do. I say, no way, I don't want to give my kids to them. And so I decided that they do not go more back to that church. And that's about, in the same time, I was sitting in my apartment, and two women, African-American woman, and one man come and knock my door. And when they knocked my door, I opened the door, and they say, can you let to us to speak for 3 minutes? I said, sure, come on in. So I let them pass through. And the first question he asked me was, Miguel, do you know that God loves you, no matter if you don't love him? And I say, wait a second. If I want to somebody love me, I have to love first that person. I say to him. And he said, no. God is different. God loves you no matter if you don't love him. And I say to him, explain me in a different way. And he went to John 3:16. And he explained to me, this is the way. He sent his only son to die for you and me. That's the love that he showed for you and for me. You don't going to give your kids for another person, no? I said, no way. So he said, God did that for you and for me. And the same moment, when I was listening to this, was something happened inside of my life that I'm sorry if I cry, but that's the first touch that I feel from God. And I remember that they explained that to me, and they left my apartment. And I went to my knees. In that moment, I say, Lord, if you come to this home, let me know what church do you want to I go. And 2 hours later, somebody again knocked the door, and I opened the door, and that was a Ross Price and another person, and they say, "Here live Marta Garcia, is my wife." I said, "Yes, she's my wife." And he say, "Well, the invitation is for you. Tomorrow is a Father's Day, and we'd like to invite you to come. You are a father now." I said, "Yes." So in the same moment that they say that, come to our church, we invite you to come to our church, a voice that I never heard before come and say, I listen to that voice and say, "You asking? They're here." Believe me, in that moment, I want to hide it somewhere. I want to hide it somewhere. I remember that it was a table, and I want to go deeply in the bottom of that table, because that voice made me like a lot scared. And I remember that they say that, and they laugh. That day was Saturday. Usually Saturday, I get drunk and everything, go to the party and everything. But I remember that night, I went to my bed at 6 o'clock and wake up early, about 6 in the morning. At 7, I was ready to go to the church. And I remember that I asked my wife, "Let's go to the church." And she said, "Bah, the invitation is at 11. So anyway, I left at 10 o'clock. And I arrived to the temple, and nobody was right there, just one person. And everybody, and all the bench was right there, and a Bible was sitting right there. I remember that it was a green Bibles. And I opened one Bible. For first time in my own life, I was 26 years. That's the first time that I opened a Bible. And I opened in Matthew 6:24. And I read the verse and say, "No man can serve two masters." No? You have to decide to serve one, because if you know you're going to disappoint the other one and hate the other one. Yeah. So I remember that I read that verse, and I put back the Bible. And I read it because it wasn't read, that verse. And I read it, and I put it back. And when the pastor, Rusty Price, came, and he preached in the same verse, Matthew 6:24. And from that moment and up, believe me, I heard the message so clear. You have to decide if you're going to live the same way you live right now, or you're going to decide to get one master. And I remember that day, I say to the Lord, "Lord, forgive all my sins. And I give, you're going to be the master of my life." And from that day and up, He's been so beautiful in my life. And my life has been changed, definitely, the way that sometimes I don't believe what happened in me. But that day was the day that I get saved. And that day was the day that I remember that I went out from the church, and our guy was in parking, and I say to him, "Why don't I stop to cry? Why I'm crying?" Yeah. And he say, "I don't know, but it's beautiful." No, I say, "Yeah, it's beautiful, but I can't stop." And I went home, and I was crying home. I passed all night cry, the same day cry, and I remember that the preach come and visit my home, my apartment. This next day was Monday, and the first question that I asked him was, "Why I cry so much?" And he said, "Because the Lord touched your body, your emotional, your soul, and I know that that's the reason." And that's the way that I come to Christ. That's the way that I meet my Savior, Jesus Christ.
Wow. I could tell now with the tears in your eyes. just thinking about it, I can, because the same thing happened to me when I became a believer. I cried for like 2 days. I just couldn't stop. When I confessed my sins, I had my head down. When I lifted my head up, there was a puddle of water there. And I hadn't cried in like 20 years before that. And it was like all of that came, and it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. I felt so light, I felt like I was actually a tall person or something. I was walking around, and I felt free.
I asked to my wife, how did I walking from where I was sit to the front? I don't remember that moment. And one thing that you say that is true. When I was 8 years old, my mom and my dad, they get divorced. And I cried for 4 years my mom, and my boy and my brothers. I cried for 4 years. After the 4 years, I never cried that time. So that's one thing that I know, that I've cried all that I never cried.
You made up for lost time. The same thing about me,
Exactly.
because once you felt that touch, you're like, it's okay now. It was like something like someone was touching you saying, it's okay now. It's okay now.
It is. Definitely.
Wow, I almost want to, don't move on to the topic, but I guess we should move on to the topic. Reaching the Latino community for Christ. You reach the Latino community for Christ. I know you have a heart for the Latino community. How do you reach them for Christ? What do you do?
Well, when we come in here, we come a big country where everything is different. Everything, believe me, is a shock because you come from a little town. There is a couple house, and when you come here and see the street, the buildings, and the people, that's a shock. Yeah. And one thing that I know, the first thing that when I come in here was his name was Jimmy. That's an American person. Come very close to me in work, and I was so excited that somebody has interest in me. Yeah. And I know the Spanish people, when they come in here, sometimes the people think that they do the bad things they do right here in their country, and sometimes no. When they come in here, they feel alone. This is when they start to do things because they feel alone here. And so what I notice when I go to them, I ask where they come from. And then the next question is, do you know that God loves you? Do you know, no matter if you live here, God loves you. No matter if you don't love Him. And that's the way, and what I try to do is get a relationship with Him first. And after that, if I have the chance and I see the open door, I'm going to explain the gospel to Him. And believe me, many days, they don't know that God loves them. They have things like me. God is an old man, angry man, angry old man that He want to punch you all the time. And no, that's not true. He loves you. And that's just one thing that I remember this person clear to me. They make so clear to me. He loves you no matter if you don't love Him. And sometimes when you say that to that person, God loves you, you know what they do?
What?
They cry. They cry.
Wow.
Because they don't know that God loves them. I see many persons. I remember a lady that a family come from Ecuador, and they come to our church a couple times, and after that she want to get a meet with me and another preach. And she said, I want you guys to explain to me how God loves me and how I can be so sure that God gonna forgive my sin. And I remember that I asked her, read Romans 10, verse 8, 9, 10, and 11. And I remember that she did it with a Catholic Bible church, Catholic Bible. And believe me, when she finished, she said, I understand right now. And I want to give my life. I want to confess that Jesus Christ is my Savior from now on up. And His Holy Family come to Christ.
Wow.
Like that.
Wow.
So it's beautiful. It's beautiful, definitely. True.
We have a growing population of Latinos in Charlotte. By and large, does the community seem to embrace them or shy away from them?
Well, what I see is sometimes the community, when they see a Latino person, they think they don't understand if they say something. And sometimes I ask a person, American person, do you tell him that God love him? And they say, no, because I don't know if they understand. No matter if they don't understand. Just go and tell, give a hug and say, you know what? I love the Lord. I serve the Lord. And I want you to understand that God loves you. and He gonna forgive you your sin if you confess that Jesus Christ is your Savior, if you believe by faith in Him. And it's simple like that. Because in our church, we have like about 10 American persons. Our principal preacher is American person, and believe me, many persons when this person say to them, "God love you," definitely is when you broken a door right there, and that is when you can get in touch with it and more close with the community people, Spanish.
Well, at the church where I co-pastor, the Journey Church, we're looking at trying to reach out to the Latino community. What type of challenges are there for a church that's trying to do that? Are there any cultural barriers? I guess because we don't, because it's a different culture. So is there something that we need to be aware of as we try to reach out to the Latino community?
You know, what I see many times is the church call them to come to church and give things away to take the home. But at some time, they don't give the good news. To me, it's two things. When you have the chance to bring them inside, don't let it go without the good news. So you have to, if you're gonna, because I know many churches, they do that, but they don't give the message. And please, give the message too.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Now, do you find that most of the Latino people that you come across come from from a Catholic background?
Yes, definitely. 90% they come from Catholic background, but they only know that they are Catholic, but that's it. They don't know nothing about the Bible. They don't know nothing about Christ, about God, about the Holy Spirit, about the Bible. They don't know nothing. So when they come in here, usually they are Catholic right there because the grandfather, the grandmama was Catholic, and the dad and the mom was Catholic. But when they come in here and they listen another message that they never listen over there in their own town, believe me, this is the time when they say, "Wow, this is new for me." And you know how the power is the word of the God, no? When He touched the heart of the person, and they come to Christ.
Wow. Are there any differences or hurdles you have to get over because they are coming from a Catholic background? I mean, do they have issues with, for instance, like having to go to confessions or thinking good works will get them saved, or I mean, do they have these preconceived ideas that sometimes can form a barrier to the gospel message?
You know what? What I see in my life, and I know in many lives too, what they do is they believe that if they go into the church, if they do good things, if they follow all the things that the church say, they go into heaven. But if they do more good things than bad things.
Yeah.
That's the way the Catholic person thinking about that. But definitely, when you say, no, it's that way, it's by faith, they got in shock, you know? They got in shock because this is everything they know. But they just hearing about that. They never read the Bible. I remember one time that I asked the lady, when you go into heaven, if God say to you, what do you did for coming here, for led you to coming in, what are you gonna answer? And she said, I don't know, but I know I did many things good, and I hope so for those good things, He gonna let me to come in inside. And when I say no, it's by that. It's by the sacrifice that Jesus Christ did for you and for me. If you believe.
I find that so amazing because people can be devout Catholics and never ever hear the gospel message.
You're right.
And that is so sad. I mean, because
Exactly.
they think that they're on their way to heaven by what they do.
Exactly.
And the part about the Bible is really troubling to me because I have a daughter who lives in the Philippines. And she came to visit me last year, and she's 18 years old. And she could not tell you anything about the Bible. Like if I say, could you go and find John 3:16, she'll look at me like, John, what's John? And she was going through Catholic school, private school this whole time, and had never once opened the Bible.
You're right.
And I asked, I said, what did you learn when you did all of your Catholic classes? He said, well, we learned about, the rituals or stuff like that, the catechisms. But how can you go to church all the time and never hear the gospel message? That just boggles my mind.
I have a aunt that he's been in a Catholic for 20 years, serving full time. And I remember that I asked one time. I asked him, why? Where is the Bible and everything here? What is the Bible? And she say, we never read the Bible. We just do things, good things. That's it. And I remember that I teach about the God the first year, the second year, the third year. We was sitting right here and like table like that one, and she jumping and she went mad out of the street. And I say, well, let's see what I did wrong. So when she coming back, I ask her, why you are so mad? She say, because I've been asking to God to answer you one question for 3 years. The 3 years that you've been asking me questions, and I never answered one question. And I so mad. But I'm going to tell you today that tomorrow we're going to sit with my husband and you're going to preach to us. And I remember that day at 5 o'clock, I remember that I explained the gospel to them. And you know what they say to me in the same moment?
What?
Miguel, we have to go to the whole family to us and teach us this good news. And I say, you know what? I've been here 3 years to try to teach you. And she say, well, that's true. But that's just definitely. If you don't know the Bible, how you don't know God?
There may be some pastors who are listening to us right now. They may want to get involved in reaching the Latino community. What suggestions would you have for them?
It's easy. You know the message. The message is God love anybody. When you see a Latino person, don't thinking about he's Latino. Thinking about that God loves that person. And just going straight, see his eyes, touch him, and tell that you love God. And tell that I love God, God love him. And he wants to meet with you. He wants to have a relationship with you. Just tell us. And you don't know. You know, that person that comes to my door and say to me, one through, God love you, no matter if you don't love him. That's it. This is simple like that. And I know that what I experienced in that moment changed my life too, from that moment. And you don't know.
I'm gonna ask you to do something that I've never done before on the show. I believe it's for a very, very good reason. I want you to give the gospel in a couple of minutes in Spanish. I just want you to give the gospel presentation.
Sure.
Okay? You can just look at the camera and just give the message.
Okay, definitely. I'm gonna give it. Well, es fácil entender el Evangelio. Una de las cosas principales es lo que vengo diciendo en inglés. Dios nos ama a cada uno de nosotros. No importa cómo seas, quién seas, de dónde vengas. Te ama. ¿Cómo lo mostró? Muy fácil. Él envió a su Hijo Jesucristo, nacido por obra del Espíritu Santo, nacido de la Virgen María, sin pecado, fue hecho pecado por nosotros. Eso es muy fácil entenderlo. Muchas veces lo sabemos, pero muchas veces no lo entendemos. Otra de las cosas importantes es, muchas veces vivimos una vida cargada de culpa. Él quiere cargar nuestros pecados. Él quiere decirnos, ¿sabes qué? Sos perdonado, sos libre para ir y gozar de la vida espiritual. Muchas veces eso nos detiene, obviamente, el ir a Dios. Creemos que somos tan pecadores que no nos merecemos llegar a Dios. No. Cristo lo dijo muy claro. Yo no he venido a llamar a justos. Yo he venido a llamar a pecadores. Y eso es lo que tú y yo somos. Cuando tú y yo venimos a Él y lo reconocemos como el enviado de Dios a favor nuestro, y nosotros venimos con fe, no por vista, porque muchas veces queremos guiarnos por vista, sino por fe, diciéndole, Señor Jesús, he aquí yo, Miguel, o tú, quien sea, pecador, yo vengo a ti para que tú me perdones. Yo acepto ese regalo de vida eterna que tú sacrificaste a tu Hijo Jesucristo en la cruz por mí. Yo lo acepto como el Señor y Salvador de mi vida. Yo le entrego mi alma a Él. Ese es el momento cuando dice la Escritura que por haber creído en las buenas nuevas, somos sellados con el Espíritu Santo de la promesa. Y una de las cosas lindas que yo he encontrado es que Cristo dejó el mensaje bien claro. Vayan y háganlo mis discípulos. Bautícenlos. Enséñenles qué cosas deben de hacer y qué cosas no deben de hacer. Y denle la promesa que yo voy a estar todos los días hasta el fin del mundo. Si eso es lo que tú deseas hacer en tu corazón, yo te animo a que tú le pidas perdón a Dios, diciéndole, Señor Dios, perdona mis pecados. Acepto que tú enviaste a tu Hijo Jesucristo a morir y que también lo levantaste de entre los muertos y que está a la diestra de ti. Y si yo hoy reconozco por fe que Jesús es mi Salvador y le entrego mi alma y mi vida. Si tú lo has hecho de todo corazón, como dice la Escritura, que el que confiesa a Jesús como Señor y Salvador de su vida, será salvo. De esa es la manera de ser salvo de tus pecados y vivir una vida deliciosa y abundante en espíritu.
Miguel, why do you pastor Camino del Rey?
It's a passion. You know, I try to feel what's something empty in my body, in me. What's something that I try to fill with many things. Okay, and I know the day that he called me for that person, say that he loved me. And the next day that I receive him in my heart and come to save, and I know that he forgive me, from that day, I give my life to him and say, I'm gonna have you for be my master. And from that day and up, I remember that I've been doing this, and I do it because I know I don't pay anything to change my life. I don't pay anything to make sure that when I die, I go straight with him. And that's the reason that I do. The reason is simple, because I know the many persons that are like me over there outside, that they need to know that God loves them.
Miguel Santos, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Thank you for talking with me about reaching the Latino community for Christ. And that will end this episode of Giving an Answer. Be sure to join me again next time. And until then, goodbye and God bless.
Further up your head.